a high-stakes meeting room, where the weight of regional security rested on every word exchanged, Philippine and Canadian officials shook hands, signaling a new chapter in defense cooperation. The air was thick with urgency as Manila and Ottawa finalized the long-anticipated Status of Visiting Forces Agreement, SOVFA, a move set to redefine their military partnership. Led by Philippine Defense Undersecretary Angelito de Leon and Canada's Assistant Deputy Minister Scott Miller, the negotiations weren't just about diplomacy. They were about strategy, deterrence, and ensuring both nations could stand stronger in the face of growing Indo-Pacific tensions. The talks, which began in January 2025, were a mix of face-to-face deliberations and high-level virtual consultations, aligning the agreement with the evolving geopolitical landscape. But why now? The answer lies in the South China Sea, a volatile region where China's assertiveness has raised alarms worldwide. Canada, a staunch advocate of international law, has ramped up its presence in the Indo-Pacific, joining joint maritime patrols and reinforcing alliances with like-minded nations. The Philippines, on the front line of this maritime chessboard, sees the SOVFA as a critical step in strengthening its security network beyond traditional allies like the US and Japan. With this pact, Canadian forces will now train, operate, and enhance interoperability with their Philippine counterparts, opening the door for joint exercises, capacity building, and greater coordination in military operations. More than just a handshake between defense officials, the SOVFA represents a concrete commitment to regional stability, a timely move as the Indo-Pacific becomes the epicenter of global power struggles. As both nations celebrate 75 years of diplomatic relations, this agreement marks not just a milestone but a strategic shift, proving that in an increasingly uncertain world, stronger alliances are the best defense. At its core, the agreement provides a legal framework for the presence of Canadian military personnel in the Philippines, ensuring smoother collaboration in security operations, disaster response, and capacity-building efforts. It mirrors similar agreements the Philippines has with other allies, like the US and Australia, reinforcing its strategy of diversified defense partnerships. In a high-level defense meeting held in Manila, senior officials from the Philippine Department of National Defense, DND, and Canada's Department of National Defense sat across from each other, finalizing the details of the Status of Visiting Forces Agreement. The atmosphere was a mix of diplomacy and shared urgency. Both nations understood the weight of the moment. This agreement is not just about military logistics, it's about trust and partnership, said Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., addressing the Canadian delegation. Across the table, Canadian Defense Minister Bill Blair nodded, adding, "Canada sees the Philippines as a key partner in the Indo-Pacific. This agreement lays the groundwork for deeper security cooperation and a collective response to regional challenges." The SOVFA provides a legal framework that allows Canadian military personnel to visit, train, and operate in the Philippines under clear guidelines. This covers logistics, legal protections, and operational procedures, ensuring seamless military engagements while respecting Philippine sovereignty. During the discussions, military officers from both sides reviewed joint training protocols, focusing on interoperability between the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, and the Canadian Armed Forces, CAF. A key priority is improving coordination in disaster response, peacekeeping efforts, and maritime security. We need to ensure that our forces can work together seamlessly in times of crisis, noted a senior AFP officer. A Canadian counterpart agreed, pointing out that Canada's experience in Arctic naval operations could complement the Philippines' maritime security efforts in contested waters. Officials also discussed upcoming joint military drills, particularly in naval security and counterterrorism. Canada expressed interest in participating in Balikatan, the Philippines' largest multinational military exercise, alongside the US and other allies. "This is just the beginning," said a Canadian defense official. "We envision long-term engagements, from intelligence sharing to cybersecurity cooperation." For the Philippines, this agreement is more than just a military arrangement. It is a diplomatic milestone. Manila sees the agreement as a move toward diversifying its defense partnerships, reinforcing its ability to deter security threats in the South China Sea, while ensuring regional peace and stability. At the conclusion of the meeting, both sides stood for a handshake, a symbolic moment sealing the deepening defense ties between the Philippines and Canada. As they prepared for the next steps, formal ratification and implementation, one thing was clear. This agreement was a strategic win for both nations in an increasingly complex Indo-Pacific landscape. Canada has consistently demonstrated robust support for the Philippines in addressing challenges in the South China Sea, particularly concerning maritime sovereignty and regional stability. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, ruled in favor of the Philippines, stating that China's expansive claims in the South China Sea lacked legal basis. Canada promptly endorsed this ruling, emphasizing the importance of adherence to international law and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Canadian officials underscored that compliance with the PCA's decision was essential for maintaining regional peace and order. In 2023, Canada and the Philippines entered into an agreement to utilize Canada's dark vessel detection system. This technology aids in identifying vessels that deactivate their tracking systems to engage in illegal, unreported, and unregulated (IUU) fishing activities within Philippine waters. By implementing this system, both nations aim to bolster maritime domain awareness and protect vital marine resources from illicit exploitation. Canada has been proactively increasing its military engagement in the Indo-Pacific region. This includes participating in joint maritime patrols and exercises alongside allies such as the United States, Australia, Japan, and the Philippines. These collaborative efforts are designed to enhance interoperability among participating forces and to uphold the principles of freedom of navigation and overflight in contested maritime zones. Through these strategic actions, Canada reinforces its commitment to supporting the Philippines and ensuring stability in the South China Sea, aligning with broader international efforts to uphold a rules-based maritime order. In response to escalating regional tensions, the Philippines has adopted a proactive, multilateral approach to bolster its defense and security posture. This strategy involves forging and enhancing partnerships with various nations through agreements that facilitate military cooperation and interoperability. In February 2025, the Philippines and New Zealand were working towards finalizing a status of visiting forces agreement within the year. This agreement aims to bolster defense and security cooperation between the two nations amidst increasing geopolitical tensions, particularly in the South China Sea. On July 8, 2024, Japan and the Philippines signed a landmark reciprocal access agreement, allowing mutual deployment of military forces for joint training and humanitarian missions. This pact, the first of its kind between Japan and a Southeast Asian nation, signifies a deepening of defense ties amid shared concerns over regional security dynamics. The Philippines maintains robust defense alliances with both the United States and Australia, characterized by regular joint military exercises and training programs. These collaborations aim to enhance interoperability and readiness in addressing various security challenges in the Indo-Pacific region. For instance, in October 2024, the Philippines, alongside the US, Australia, and other allies, conducted joint naval exercises focusing on anti-submarine, anti-surface, and anti-air warfare operations. The Philippines is actively engaging in discussions with France to establish a defense agreement that would further diversify and strengthen its security partnerships. While specific details are yet to be finalized, such an agreement would enhance defense cooperation and contribute to regional stability. Through these strategic partnerships and agreements, the Philippines aims to reinforce its defense capabilities and promote peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Canada has been actively enhancing its role in Indo-Pacific security through increased military engagements and a steadfast commitment to upholding international law. Canadian naval forces have been increasingly active in the Indo-Pacific region, engaging in joint maritime patrols to promote security and stability. For instance, in 2020, the Canadian frigate HMCS Regina and auxiliary vessel MV Asterix transited the Taiwan Strait, demonstrating Canada's commitment to freedom of navigation. Subsequently, in January 2021, HMCS Winnipeg participated in the multinational exercise Sea Dragon, alongside navies from the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, Quad nations, to enhance anti-submarine warfare capabilities. Building on its defense partnerships, Canada is poised to deepen its military collaboration with the Philippines and the United States. The recently concluded negotiations for a Status of Visiting Forces Agreement, SOVFA, between Canada and the Philippines pave the way for Canadian troops to participate in joint land, sea, and air exercises in the region. This agreement aims to enhance interoperability and readiness among the Allied forces. Canada's defense initiatives in the Indo-Pacific are underpinned by a strong commitment to maintaining a rules-based international order. By actively participating in joint exercises and supporting regional security frameworks, Canada reinforces the importance of adhering to international law, particularly in contested areas like the South China Sea. These efforts align with broader international endeavors to ensure peace and stability in the region. Through these strategic engagements, Canada underscores its dedication to contributing to the security and stability of the Indo-Pacific region, working collaboratively with allies to address emerging challenges. The Philippines-Canada Agreement marks a pivotal step in strengthening regional security, enhancing military cooperation, and reinforcing the Indo-Pacific's rules-based order. For Manila, it signals a broader defense strategy, diversifying partnerships to counter regional threats. For Canada, it cements its growing role in Asia-Pacific geopolitics, deepening military ties and bolstering allied deterrence efforts. As both nations navigate an increasingly volatile region, this agreement not only fortifies bilateral defense cooperation, but also contributes to a more resilient and secure Indo-Pacific.